So this is an episode I've been really anticipating for Fate Apocrypha because this is the episode that 100% lays out all the information you need on who Ruler is as a character. Because Ruler is the neutral servant. She doesn't side with either the Reds or the Blacks for this war. She is the observer, she is the judge of this Holy Grail War, which is completely different than past ones, as usually you have the church who is kind of the overseer to make sure the Grail War goes as planned. But this time you have a ruler-class servant who is very different in both her own fighting style and her own noble phantasms, which you will see eventually as the series goes on, but she is the neutral side. Even though it was basically like the son of the sun god was trying to pick a fight with Ruler, she was going to fight back because that is basically an act of treason. You're going up against the one overseeing your war. You can't do that. But once both sides join in and are start to fight one another, she won't pick the side so it will be 2-on-1. She will stand back and make sure the fight goes on as normal. This is what I really like with Ruler as a character, is not only do you have Joan of Arc, one of the most interesting characters I think you can have from history in a modern day setting, but at the same time you have a completely different style of character who won't intervene in fights unless she deems it absolutely necessary. You can fight all you want, you can kill all you want, but unless there is some sort of rule bending or rule breaking or something that she sees as this fight needs to be put to a stop, she'll do that, but she won't intervene until she absolutely has to. And I think it's such an interesting concept, especially because you're introducing a new type of servant, but also giving it a completely different style, not just from fighting perspective, but also a character and story one as well. Absolutely love that stuff, just because it's a reveal that I really liked within the Fate Apocrypha story. I'll be one of the first to admit, there is a lot of issues with this episode, and it mainly comes to a lot of the tropes and the fan service, especially what the episode starts off. I forget the character's name. Is it Astolfo or something like that? I forget. But basically, the character who always is getting licked nipples to chest and just has the half-naked master. I forget in the series if that's for a specific reason other than her just being horny and her wanting to lick all over her servant, but I think they somehow shoehorn in, like, transferring mana or some bullshit like that. I think that's, like, it's stupid. I wish they never did that kind of stuff. I wish they didn't have to have these tropes to make Fate sell. I mean, if you look at things like Fate Zero, you didn't need that, but still, it's annoying, and I don't like that stuff. And I also, like, am I the only one who thought the sound effects in this episode were obnoxiously loud and just kind of, like, disorienting? Like, when they were fighting, when we had the two servants fighting one another, it sounded like they were just blasting the sound effects and, like, my speakers are gonna blow out. And I've heard a couple of people in past episodes complain about the sound effects, but they never bothered me in episodes 1 or 2, but episode 3, it was a little loud and disorienting. I mean, the fight itself was cool, but, like, the way they're using sound effects, you just need to tone it down, A1. I think it's a little obnoxious. So there is these issues, and I've also seen people, like, criticize, like, Frankenstein is a girl and things like that, but, like, that's not an issue to me. It's like, seriously, like, they twist aspects of the characters. I mean, we have King Arthur and things like that, Mordred being females, not males, like in most legends, things like that. So I'm fine with them twisting it and things like that. But I will say, like, the whole intro scene and just, like, how they're using some sound effects and also how they're using some tropes and cliches, I'll be the first to admit, it's annoying, it sucks, but there is more quality than just those tropes in the series, at least in my opinion. And I really love Ruler. I think Ruler is the star of the show because it's such an interesting character in the way they use it. Of course, characters like Mordred and even Siegfried himself are also really cool. Siegfried, you get a little bit of his backstory if you know nothing about Siegfried and how, like, he was kind of the guy who just solved everyone's wishes and even let his own life be taken because that was the wish of the public to stop the war, kind of a thing. So we're, like, getting some different aspects and some different personalities of these characters. Obviously, this is a pretty large cast. We have 2 groups, 2 armies, so it's going to take a while to get all the characters' personalities, all their backstories and things like that revealed, but we got 25 episodes, so we don't need to really rush into it. But at the same time, they now have introduced one of the homunculus who basically have escaped, and now we'll see where he goes. Of course, I know where this character is going to go, but we'll see where he goes in terms of the anime now. And I thought this episode, even though it did have, I think, the most weaknesses from the past 3 episodes, I think it was still a very enjoyable episode because even if I remove the negatives that I have, like how they're using some of the sound effects, how they're using some of that cringeworthy tropes and fan service, there is some really cool content, especially with the ruler stuff, especially with Siegfried's fight and everything like that. I had a blast watching the episode, but I admit it does have its faults. But for me, the faults doesn't take away from the pros it has and makes me hate the series. In fact, I still quite enjoy it. Was this my favorite episode? No, I'd say this is probably one of my least favorite episodes, but it did something I've been waiting to really showcase the kind of mentality and morals of Ruler, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the future episodes and how they're going to use this character. Overall, this is a pretty good episode. I'm really excited for episode 4. As always, I mean, UTW Unlimited Translation Works, thank you for continuing to translate this series. I mean, seriously, this is just, I wish we could have a legal option that we could watch weekly. Netflix, you gotta get your head out of your ass. You gotta release stuff weekly. This is what the anime fans want. We don't want to wait 6 months to watch the first 13 episodes in dubbed. We want to watch weekly. They're probably not watching, but hey, just in case they are, please fix your service. That's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I do expect to see a lot of criticisms for some of the fan service and tropes, which is absolutely to be expected and also necessary, but there is a lot of quality content, I think, within this episode, especially with the ruler stuff. Let me know your thoughts, and before I leave, smack that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.